Hi, my name is Will Terry. I'm a children's picture book illustrator. Also do ebooks, and today I'd like to talk to you about how to market your ebook, or your app, or whatever it is that you're working on. And so in this video, I'm going to answer two questions. Number one, what are the advantages of publishing children's ebooks or apps? And two, how can I sell my ebook or app to make money? Okay, so first I'm going to talk about art and the middleman. And this is an artist right here, and this represents me or you or anybody who is an illustrator, a fine artist, a photographer, basically anybody who wants to find a market and sell their art. And this is their art right here. This is your art, my art. And traditionally, we've had a problem finding our audience because, one, it takes time, and two, it takes money to find our audience. And so the reason that we want to find our audience, though, is because they have money, and that can help us in our pursuit of basically avoiding a real job and having a lot of fun in life doing what we want to do, which is make art. And so over time, we have found that one of the best ways to get our work to our audience is through a middleman. And by middleman, I'm talking about agents and publishers and galleries and labels and people like that. And traditionally, what these middlemen have offered is money, because it takes a lot of money to reach an audience. It takes a lot of money to produce our work, to make a book, or to show our work in a gallery or something like that. So traditionally, we've always needed a middleman, and they help us find our audience. And when we find our audience, they are able to buy our products or our art in whatever form it is. And as for me as a picture book artist, when I sell a picture book, or when the publisher or the retailer sells a picture book for me, that generates about $15. And out of that $15, the middleman, or my publisher and the retailer, gets about 95% of that $15. And I get about 5%. Oops, I almost forgot. My agent needs their cut. So they have to get their money, but it doesn't come out of the 95% from the middleman. It comes out of my 5%. So really, I only get about 4%, which is where we get the starving artist. Now, another thing that the middleman does is, because they're spending their money to produce our work, they get to dictate terms. They also function as the gatekeeper. So they basically decide who gets published and what gets published, and what doesn't get published and who doesn't get published. So am I saying that the middleman is bad? Absolutely not. The middleman does a lot of work for their percentage of that money. They do marketing. They edit your book. They do market research. They design the book. And they have a huge staff of people working for you to make sure that your product is the best that it can be. And it's very prestigious to work for a publisher. There's all kinds of awards that you're eligible for if your book does go through a traditional publisher. So there are a lot of advantages to going that route. And I don't want to make anybody feel like I'm saying it's bad to publish the traditional route. I believe that every opportunity that you come across in your life, you should evaluate based on the pros and the cons. And so basically, I think it's what I want to do in this video is look at the positive and the negative sides, okay? So they do all these great things. But what I want to show is that there's another middleman emerging today. Now, this new middleman offers technology instead of money. So rather than spending a lot of money to produce physical products, they allow us to sell whatever it is that we make via their technology websites. So Amazon, eBay, Etsy, Pubit, and et cetera, more and more are allowing us to go directly through those companies and sell whatever it is we make on our personal websites. And we can do that, and we can market it through social media as one option. So we're talking about Google and Blogger, one and the same, WordPress, Tumblr, Facebook, and all those different social media sites where we can get our message out to the world very cheaply. And this new middleman takes a much smaller cut. So that's on the pro side. That's huge. So instead of earning 4% with a traditional picture book, I can now earn 40 to 70% of the books, the electronic books or apps or games that I make on my own. So there's a very big incentive to become a player in this new market, in this new area. in this new technology. So rather than the starving artist, we can now have the plump artist. Now, another thing that I want to go back real quick and just mention is we got the hungry little caterpillar there. Remember, and I don't know if you know this, but that book has sold right around 30 million copies. And at 30 million copies, I don't care if you're making 1%, that's a lot of money. So Eric Carle has done really well on 5 or 10%. I think he's author illustrator, so 10% of the 30 million books that have been sold. And you can do the math at $15 a book on what we're talking about there. So, and there have been a lot of authors and illustrators who have done really, really well at 5%. So I just want to make sure and make that clear. Now, I think if we look at this little crappy timeline that I put out there, and we look at the history of publishing, you know, we had block printing back before Christ, and we had stencil printing around 1000 AD, and then it took all the way up to the 1800s to get offset printing. And this is the history of publishing through the world. And in 2007, we came out with our first e-reader on Amazon, the Kindle. What are the chances through these thousands of years that you would be alive today when publishing is seeing probably the biggest single change it's ever seen so far in the history of the world? And you're here right now. So I think it's really important to take a look at this and to see and to try to predict where things are going and how it's going to change the old ways or the way we have done things to the current, and what and the opportunities and the possibilities that we have in the future for publishing. Okay, focus at your screen. You see that little tiny dot right in the middle? That represents a little flake of gold. And I'm going to use that analogy as your art when it was in its infancy, when you were a kid. And that little flake of gold was very valuable to your parents, but not to too many other people, because let's face it, it's just a little flake of gold. Not really worth much. Maybe in today's market, $5 or $10. But to your parents, it was just pure gold. And they loved what you did, hopefully. And as you grew up and as you became more and more of an artist and worked on your craft, you turned that little flake of gold into a nugget. And then your artwork might have been worth, you know, just to throw out an arbitrary number, maybe $1,000 or $2,000. Now that would get some people excited, but you know, if I said, look at what I've got here, I've got a nugget of gold, it's worth $1,000 or $2,000, you guys would probably be like, well, big deal, I make more than that in a week. But as your art grows, you can grow it into where it's worth so much more over time. And I'm going to come back to this because this is really, really important to take advantage of this new technology. So the first thing that I think you should do as an artist, if you want to participate in a global market, is, and it's obvious, you've got to have a web presence. You've got to have an online portfolio. And I think the three main things that you should have on that portfolio is your best work, a bio about yourself, and your contact information. You can have other things, but I think those three things have to be there. You also need to have a blog. And I think that the blog and the portfolio could be one and the same. You could, in other words, you could have your portfolio on your blog, but you need to be blogging. And I'll make some cases for that. One reason to have a blog is so that you can show new work and so it stays current. People tend to not visit stagnant websites, so you need to have a blog. You also, when you get a blog, you need to pick a topic and you need to stay on that topic. So your topic should probably be about your artwork or how you create your artwork or something to that nature. At first, nobody's going to be reading your blog, so you're going to need to kind of convince yourself that you're just keeping an online journal. And it's just a journal of your progress and how you're doing, new works, processes, things. You'll feel like you're talking to yourself, but that's okay. The next thing you need to do is make sure that you're doing it on a regular basis. You'll never generate a following if you don't blog regularly. And I think that once a week is a good amount of time. Think about how you react when you visit other people's blogs and how often you visit their blogs based on how often they update their blog. So if they're only updating every month or two, you probably don't go back there that often because you know if you just randomly check their blog, they probably don't have anything new there. This is another reason why people follow blogs, is so they don't have to randomly check blogs. And then the last thing I think that you really should be including on your blog is your story. You know, what makes you tick, why you create art, your challenges, your triumphs, the things that you've had to overcome, the things that are bugging you, the things you've discovered. They're all part of your story, and people are interested in story. People are interested in what makes other people tick. And when you don't include your story, it becomes more of a cold experience for the viewer. Again, some of this is going to be obvious, but you need to join the social media if you're not right now. You need to be on Twitter. You need to be on Facebook. I'm on Google Plus. I don't really use it yet, but you need to be on at least one of those. And then also an option is to have a YouTube presence. Um, and on social media sites, you're going to put your new work. You need to make friends. You need to network by joining groups. And when people request to add you, I would suggest that you don't treat your social media like you would if you were not trying to sell something or not trying to market something, and you would only want your immediate friends to have access to you. Just limit what you're willing to share with people, because anybody out there could be seeing it or reading it. But you should be adding as many people as you possibly can, and getting to know as many people as you can. Don't pick fights. It's you're not using this as a place to sell your political views or ideas. And be respectful. I mean, those are obvious. Use YouTube if you can, and do how-to videos. Share your process, give advice. You could record events that you've attended and post videos of those. But YouTube is actually the second largest search engine. So people are looking for how-tos, and they're looking for information on the things that they're interested in. And if you're not on YouTube, you're not taking advantage of that second most powerful search engine. Okay. And another little tidbit is when you have your email set up, make sure you have your web address in your email. Now, all of this stuff is going to point back to your portfolio and your blog. Your blog / portfolio, they're the center of your universe. From now on, that is the most important thing in your life, is getting that information out there. So no matter what you do on social media, you're going to make sure that people can find your blog or your website to get more information on what you put out there. And whenever you do a commission piece, so let's say you're working for the New York Times Magazine or New Yorker, all the way down to your local church, and I don't care if it's anywhere in between, you're going to sign with your web address. So instead of me being Will Terry and I'm going to sign my name Will Terry, I'm going to sign my name willterry.com. So from now on, tell your mom, I am willterry.com. I am bettyjones.com, and you're just going to always try to sell yourself by just putting that .com at the end, if you can get your name.com. It might be a little tricky if you can't, but you can still push that web address. If you enter any competitions, and for illustrators, there's the Society of Illustrators, there's Communication Arts, there's Spectrum. See if you can always include your web address in there, and most of these will help you by doing that for you, or giving you a place to do that. And of course, whenever you put out a postcard, you're going to put your web address on there. Everything is going to point back to that website. If you go and do shows, like if you're going to do Comic-Con or ALA, which is American Library Association for children's book authors and illustrators, it's for librarians, or Book Expo America, you're going to put your web address on any information that you're going to hand out or give out on a card, anything, and you're going to look for opportunities to point back to that website or blog. As an illustrator, I often do school visits, and whenever I do a school visit, I want to let the principal know how they can get in contact with me and how they can find my website. If I do any presentations or any teaching, again, everything is going to point back to my blog or website. So you're getting the picture now. Okay, now all of this is going to set you up so that when you're ready, if you decide to release a product on your blog, then you can talk about it on your social media, and everything will point back so that whenever people are finding your website or blog, they can say, oh, look at what they're selling. They've got a product. They've got a t-shirt, or they've got a hat, or they've got a sketchbook, or they've got cards or prints or originals or whatever. Now, this also is where I'm going to tie in with the ebooks, because whenever you release a new ebook, you can now do it on your blog and people will find it. You can also release it on your social media sites. You can email blast. You can do a video or a trailer, and everything is going to be tagged with your website or blog. And even at the end of your ebook, you can do a couple things. You can sell your next ebook, so you can put an ad for your other ebooks, and you can also put a link back to your website. So people that are buying your ebooks that have no idea who you are or what your website is, and they're not on your social media radar at all, they can find your website and go, wow, I wonder if this guy's done anything more. You never know what that could lead to. So you're going to always, always, always tag back. Okay, now the next thing is you need to be networking. And I think people hear networking and they think, if they're more of a, more of a hermit type or more of a private type person, they think, why do I, have to extend myself and get out there? And I try to limit my exposure. But you've got to be networking, and I'm going to make a good case for that a little bit later. But the ways that you can network, first off, is to get involved in some groups. And if you're writing books, writing and illustrating, or writing or illustrating, you need to be involved in a critique group. You can Google that, but basically critique groups help you. You get together with people that become your friends, and you go over each other's manuscripts, you go over each other's artwork, and you give feedback, and you give positive and negative critiques, which basically will help you get stronger, to refine your craft. You can find critique groups by joining the SCBWI, which stands for the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. It's a national organization that has chapters in all around the country in different states. Find the one that's closest to you and see if you can attend an event. You will meet people at those events that will help you with your career. It's plain and simple. The people that go to SCBWI get published more than the people that are trying to be an island unto themselves. It's just a fact. So if you want to get published, or if you want to have a better chance publishing your own books via ebooks, you've got to get involved. You've got to get feedback from people. You can go to workshops. You can join listservs, email listservs. And there's a lot of groups out there on the internet. There's a lot of Facebook groups. So if you join Facebook, you can find illustrator or author groups that you can join, and put your ear to the rail, and you will get information and news regarding the industry that you just won't find anywhere else. And of course you can go to lunch with people, commenting on other people's blogs. You've got to get involved in other people's lives to find out what they're up to, so that you can get information to help you. Okay? And with all this, try to keep an open mind and not get overwhelmed. Okay. Now, all of this networking is going to bring us over to your little project, your little baby, the thing that you're working on, whether it's an app, whether it's a game, an ebook, or whatever it is that you're working on. I put it here where it comes right out of the gold, because it has to be amazing. It has to be the best that you can possibly do, and you have to make sure that when you release this, when you spend your time and effort and money making your ebook or your app or whatever it is, that it has to be able to compete on a global scale. It has to be really good, because there's going to be so much competition out there. There already is, but it's going to get, it's just going to go up tremendously. It's going to go up exponentially in the next few years. So when you release something, it has to be something that people look at and go, wow, that's really cool. I like that. Now, if you're like most people, you have limitations. So like for me, I'm pretty decent, I feel like, with my art, but I'm really weak on developing a story. So I still need to work on learning how to write a story and learning how to really develop a good story. But right now that part is kind of weak. So I've decided to partner with a professional story writer, or a picture book writer, and different ones. And so I think what we're going to see in the future is teams of people getting together to make great products. So what we're going to see is, people like artists and of course writers and editors and programmers and animators getting together to form little teams to make great products, to basically say, I'm good at this, but I'm not good at that. You're good at that, but you're not good at this. And we get together and we make something amazing. And there's a lot of different ways you can do this. You can have money where you offer to pay these people to help you with yours, or you can collaborate and you can share percentages, which is what I'm a big fan of, so that everybody feels like they have a vested interest in making sure that the product is the best that it possibly can be. And like I said, that there's two reasons really to do this, and that's to make sure that when you are finished with your product and you publish it and you release it on iTunes or Amazon or Barnes & Noble, that basically the review sites that pick it up, or the ones you submit it to, will fall in love with it and give you a good review. And really, that's what you're really looking for, is to get on lists, so that when people get online, they're not going to go and search through the whole iTunes store to find your book. They're just not going to do that. There's going to be too many out there. What they're going to do is go to review sites or aggregators. They're going to say, tell me what to buy. I need to only buy the good stuff. I don't want to buy the bad stuff. So just tell me what to buy and I'll buy it. So there's going to be top 10 sites, top 50, top 100. The equivalent of New York Times bestseller. And probably New York Times is going to realize that they need to have their top 10 or top, the New York Times app list or ebook list. So you've got to make sure that your product is good so the reviewers will like it. You've also got to make sure it's good so that when you release it on your social media site, your friends see it and your friends go, wow, I can't believe it, but Joe really did do a great app. I got to share this with my friends. Because your friends are your friends, but they're not going to mess up their other friends by sharing your crappy product. They're just not going to do it. They're going to tell you to your face, oh yeah, that was really cool what you released. But they're not going to go out of their way to tell another friend, you got to buy this app. It's amazing. Because that's a reflection on them. So it has to be good. And really, that's the only chance you have of making your product go viral. Subliminal message. Okay, so now let's answer some questions. So here's some questions that I wasn't able to cover in the first part. So here we go. Who can publish to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or iTunes? The answer, anyone. Anyone that has, and I believe for most of them you have to have an American bank account right now. I'm not exactly sure about that. I'm sure someone will post a response to this and let us know. But I have gotten emails from people that live abroad that have said that they haven't been able to set up accounts. So that's why I say that. How exactly do you publish on those sites? Well, they're just like setting up an account with YouTube or Facebook. You just get on their website and you fill out their little sign up information thing. You got to put in your bank account number so that they can pay you. And that's pretty much it. For now, that's Amazon and Barnes & Noble. iTunes is a little more in depth. And Barnes & Noble and Amazon is free. iTunes, I believe, charges about $100 to get set up there. And there's a little more hoop jumps to go through with iTunes, but it's nothing that's prohibitive. So there you go on that one. And I guess I just answered how much does it cost. How much of a cut does Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and iTunes take? And they're all pretty much about the same. If your book is at $2.99 or higher, they're taking about 30 to 35% of the total cost, maybe up to 40%. So they're taking that and they're giving you 60 to 70%. But if your book is priced below $2.99, like I have my ebooks right now set at 99 cents on Barnes & Noble and Amazon, and then they're going to take a lot larger cut. So they're going to take more like 70, 65, 70%. And the reason for that is they want to incentivize you to price your book higher because they want to make more money and they want to keep book prices higher. And I think that they don't want book prices to go where they are on iTunes, where they're $1. And there's a lot of people debating on what will happen in the long run. And I have my opinions, but I'm not going to share them right here on that one. But I do believe that volume is extremely important. And that's one of the reasons why I price my books so low, is because I want to get a higher volume of sales so that I get a better sales rank, so that I sell more, so that it's more self-perpetuating. So that's kind of the reason there. If anyone can do it, won't there be too many ebooks out there? And I think I kind of already went over this a little bit. There's going to be a gazillion ebooks out there, and I think that's a great thing. And right now, if you think about it, when you go out your door, how many options do you have to do in a day? When you walk out your front door, you could make a list of 1 million things you could do. and you don't get discouraged by that huge amount of choices that you have because you're focused and you know what you're going to do during the day. And the same is true when you buy books. You're going to know how you're going to buy books, and you're going to buy from these aggregators. You're going to buy from these people that create lists, and so it will not matter that there are just too many ebooks out there, because that's just going to be noise. And if your book is really good, you're going to rise above all that noise, and so it won't matter. Okay, what's the difference between an ebook and an app? Basically, in general, and the lines are very blurry, there's a lot of gray area, but basically an ebook is, it feels a little bit more like a regular book where it flips with pages, and there's definitely, this page and the next page and the next page. An app is more of, and in general, more intense programming where it does more than an ebook as far as things moving around and animations and sounds and bells and whistles and different things happening. Is one better than the other? No, they're just totally different things. Or you could look at it more as a scale, perhaps, where a book doesn't do much but be a book, all the way to where it's a full blown game. And there's going to be a lot of people with opinions on what's better or not. I think in general we should let the audience basically decide what they like. So if you're making something for an audience and they like it, isn't that the goal? Is to satisfy your audience. So you should just be making something that, one, satisfies yourself so that you're really happy with it, and then other people will find it and will also fall in love with it, and then they'll buy it, and then you'll make money, and then you'll be able to keep doing what you want to do, which is make your art and make your stories. Okay, why didn't you talk about how to make ebook files? And the reason for that is that information is going to change on a monthly to every couple of months to 6-month basis. So if I give you information now on this video, it'll be outdated in a few months. You've got to learn how to use Google, because when you're ready to format your book, Google it, and you will find tons of tutorials out there on how to format an ebook. It's not going to be hard. In fact, I think it's going to get easier and easier as we get programs that just help you do it. Like right now, we've got YouTube, and so if you want to make a video, you buy a video editor and you make your video. You buy a camera, you shoot it, and you plop it into the video editor, and you make your video. And anybody can learn how to do that. Right now, for making an ebook, it's a little harder because no one's really jumped out there and made a really good ebook editor, or an app builder. So it's going to change. There's a lot of different ways to do it, and you're just going to have to find that information by Googling it. Okay, why didn't you talk about ebook app builder websites? Well, the main reason on that is that I really feel like that is the technical aspects of making the book is less important than actually deciding to do it, developing your talent, and collaborating with talented people. The technical side will be in a lot of ways the easiest thing to do, so I don't want to get caught up in that part of it. It's going to seem like to most people like, well, I don't even know how to do that, so I better not even make an ebook. That couldn't be further from the truth. You don't know how to do it. You need to just find somebody who knows how to do it, and then you either partner with them or pay them to do it for you. And so let's talk about app builder websites and limitations. I will say that there's tons of app builder websites out there, or ebook builders, where basically you're going to upload your pictures and maybe your sound files, and then you're going to decide, this moves over here and this does this, and then this page turns here, and you can build your ebook on their website. I think that there are, like I said before, there's pros and cons about everything. So you have to evaluate it for the strengths and weaknesses. Now, one of the strengths of an app builder website is it makes it easy. So you just upload your pictures, you upload your sound files, you make it, they publish it, they go through all the hassle of publishing it to setting up the account to publish it to Amazon or Barnes & Noble or iTunes, and then they get paid by Amazon. The money goes to them, and then they take a percentage, and then they pay you out of that. You're going to have to decide if that sounds good to you or not. For some people, that's going to be awesome. For other people, they're not going to want some of their money going to someone else. But again, that site is doing work for that money, so it's all trade-offs. To me, the bigger issue isn't the money, it's whether or not you feel like you can make your dream come true on their site. So, for example, app builder websites have limitations. So they're not going to let you do anything that you want to do like a programmer will. A programmer will be able to take the iPad or the Kindle Fire or whatever device and be able to go, okay, what are the rules? Okay, I'm going to be able to do anything I want pretty much as long as they have enough money to pay me or as long as I have enough time to invest, and I can build this app and make it do what I want. So let's say you wanted a little bunny rabbit hopping across the page and actually having animation of hopping. Well, on an app builder website, on a lot of them that I've seen right now, and again, this is going to be changing, and I'm sure somebody's going to email me and go, well, you can do it over here. On a lot of them, there are limitations. I'm just going to leave it at that. There's limitations where you can't do everything that you want to do that you could do with a programmer. So that means that instead of the bunny rabbit hopping across the page, it might just slide across. So you're taking a static picture and sliding it across. To some people, that's not a big deal. To other people, that is a big deal, and it's a deal breaker. To yet other people, they might find a way to make that sliding thing work to where it really benefits the story that they came out with, and an animation would be a bell and whistle that would ruin the project. So just remember, they put a man on the moon with less of a computer than what you have in your cell phone right now, which means they did an amazing thing with great limitations, which means you can still do a great thing on these app builder websites if it suits your project. Another example of that is Blair Witch Project, the movie. Done with a camcorder. Millions of dollars it made under those tight constraints of shooting with a little crappy camcorder. So you can do amazing things with great limitations. For me, right now, the things that I'm working on, they would not work on an app builder website. So I'm not going that route. Okay. And then finally, why didn't you talk about specific ways to market an ebook? And again, I could talk about making a website and how to do SEO, to use Google keywords and find those keyword gems and to put those out there so that when people Google a certain phrase or a certain set of words, your website comes up higher and you get more hits and you can sell more apps that way. I could talk about how you can submit or pay for review sites to review your book. In the end, none of those will work if you do not have a great product. So in the end, the most important thing you can do is make a great product and do a few little things to get it started, to kickstart it through your social media and through review sites. And the word of mouth, if it's good, will take off. And you will not have to do anything if it's good. Because people will find it and they'll share it and it'll just go viral from there and you'll make tons of money and you'll be able to have a great life and I'll be jealous. Thanks for watching my video. And again, I'm willterry.com and I'll see you on the interwebs.